What's going on, everyone? I'm the OPJellicent, and I'm going to be talking about my matchup for week number 5 of season number 3 in the Ultimate Battle League. My opponent this week is SareneGrace, coach of the Chicago Shaymin Sky. You can see her roster over on the right of your screen. You can see my 6 Pokemon at the top. Let's talk about her roster first. By the way, this is not in the order she drafted these mons. I can assure you her first overall pick was probably Megalopen or Victini right here, but starting things off, she has a Blastoise. I do have adequate responses to Blastoise. Megalatios can pretty easily switch into it, as can my Manaphy, but I do have to be careful about Mirror Coat, especially like Assault Vest or Rindoberry Mirror Coat for my Manaphy's Energy Ball. That could definitely be very scary, because it also catches my Rotom Heat quite nicely. If I were to Volt Switch out on that, and it takes not too much damage because of the AV, I would have to take a Mirror Coat with something else, so that's not really something I can ignore. If it does come, I'm expecting like Scald, Mirror Coat, and then I don't know what other 2 attacks she would want. Probably like Ice Beam and then maybe Aura Sphere for my Cobalion. She can really mix it up anyway, perhaps even Dark Pulse, but I'm not really sure. She has Ditto as well. Ditto's annoying, but I do have some good lures on it. For example, if I were to run a Choppleberry Cobalion, I could actually take the close combat pretty easily, and then when she takes the defense drops, I can close combat her back with my Cobalion, and it would simply go down. Same with Manaphy. If I ran Rindoberry Manaphy, she came in, I could take the plus, like, it would be +3, but through the Rindoberry it's like halved, so then I hit her back with the +3 Energy Ball myself, and knock out the Ditto. So I definitely have ways of dealing with Ditto. I just have to take advantage of them. She also has the Electros right here. Electros is annoying. I hate electric types in particular against my roster because my best responses are like Latios and Rotom Heat, and they both hate Toxic, and Latios particularly hates Thunder Wave, and Electros can do all of that right here. Coil could be a cool set as well, like Leftovers Coil with some physical moves could be cool. I think it gets like Drain Punch and Knock Off. Probably Wild Charge and U-Turn. That sort of thing is what Eel's going to do if it's not Assault Vest. She has Fortress as well. Fortress is a pretty cool response to Pokemon like my Megalatios if she was to run an Berry on it, because it could take an HP Fire into another HP Fire if she put like a Max Speed F on it, but that would really lower its physical defensive abilities. So this is also one of her better Stealth Rockers right here. I believe the other one is Sandslash, so I think Fortress is a very strong bring in that regard, but I honestly don't know. She may just leave Fortress off the board because it's kind of old by Hippo, just gets a free rocks on that, but I mean it could Spike Stack too, so that's definitely something I don't want to ignore right here. She has Kyurem. Kyurem is definitely a big threat. In fact, Dragon plus Ice Stab is very big against my team, just because if it's choice specs, I don't switch into Draco plus Ice Beam right here. Like Granbull takes the Draco Meteor, and if he takes the Ice Beam, but I just have to call which one it is, right? However, I do have a dedicated response to the Kyurem on my team, as you guys will see, and hopefully that can go ahead and sponge those hits right here. Megalopony has a great speed tier against my team. I'm pretty sure it almost certainly has to come right here. It is one of the better things to outspeed my Megalatios. It can do a lot of damage with Fake Out plus Return. It is stopped by Granbull though, so that's definitely something she does have to take into consideration. Even if she Power Up punches as Granbull comes in, and then goes for the Iron Tail, she'll be at neutral, right, because of the Intimidate. I can still take the Megalopony on just fine, so Granbull's kind of a dedicated response to that. She might put Baton Pass on it specifically for that. If that's allowed, I have no idea, but she could Baton Pass as the Granbull comes in and then say, just bring in something like Specs Kyurem to Wall Break. That could definitely be a deadly combination right here, but I do have adequate responses to Megalopony. I do have speed tiers for that too. A lot of my good choice Garfield in this game, being Crobat, as well as potential Weavile and Cobalion, can deal with the Megalopony quite nicely right here. She has the Mandibuzz, which Mandibuzz is a good defogger for her. It also somewhat stops my Cobalion, but it does have to be like, it has to be careful about Z Stone Edge, which is something that I have ran in the past. Not in this, but I have definitely ran it. I don't think she knows that though, so ideally she doesn't see that coming if I were to bring it, which I'm not spoilers, but a lot of Spidef also could make a take on Pokemon like my Megalatios just fine. Like, if it's really Spidef, Thunderbolt, or Ice Beam, it's not going to do any damage, even if I Calm Mind, so that's definitely very scary as well. The main way I can deal with that is with Pokemon like Granbull. I have to wear it down with Toxic, they're off Play Rough, so that's definitely going to be very big. I can also, just deal with it using my Rotom Heat. Toxic on Rotom Heat, or even just Volt Switch Chip is going to be very valuable right there, so I just have to make sure I have switch-ins and adequate ways to wear it down. I don't want it to spread Toxics through my entire team, and it does get U-turn, so once again, U-turn momentum into that Kyurem is going to be very scary. I have to make sure I can deal with that right here. She also has Sandslash. This is, I think, the weaker of 2 Stealth Rockers on her team right here. I think Fortress should definitely be the one she opts for, but I guess Sandslash could be another response to something like my Cobalion, but if I'm Special Cobalion, it's just going to get blown away anyway. It can also help take on Pokemon like my Hippo. It can throw off Toxic against that. It does also get, I believe, Rapid Spin, so it could be a cool hazard control Pokemon for her. I don't think she's expecting Gourgeist, and I'm not bringing Gourgeist because it does not deal with her Kyurem or her Victini right here, which are two of her biggest threats. So I definitely want to make sure that I have ways to get my hazards up reliably and make sure that the Sandslash is pressured out of rapid spinning. That's going to be a very big part of this game plan right here. She also has Shaymin, which Shaymin, I'm not too worried about that, and Mega Latios takes it on just fine. Unlike Eel, it does not get any sort of status move that Mega Latios particularly hates. Toxic would be the worst thing, but I guess like Thunder Wave, it definitely does not get that, so that's very valuable right here. I do have to be careful about Dazzling Gleam, but as long as she's not like Choice Specs, I can take 2 Dazzles using my investment, and even if she is like Choice Specs, I can just scout the damage, roost it off if I really want to, if I'm calling her Switch, because she wants the health on Shaymin, obviously, to help take hits for my Manaphy. She does have to take Manaphy into consideration too. If I'm a Rindo Berry with +3, the Ice Beam is definitely going to hurt the Shaymin as well. Rotom Heat is also pretty easily able to take on the Shaymin, so overall, I have ways of dealing with it. I just have to make sure it doesn't get too out of hand, like, Kyurem, for example. She also has Sylveon. This is the Pokemon I'm particularly scared of. The one particular set that I really don't want to see is Calm Mind, Wish, Heal, Bell, Hyper Voice, because that set could be a great win con for her if my, ways of checking it get weakened. For example, my Cobalion, Iron Head, or my Crobat's Poison type attacks. Those are my 2 best ways, and those are both obviously coming to this game because of how big of a threat Sylveon is right here. So just gotta make sure I can beat setup variants. I'm not too worried about specs. Specs would be the least of my concern. Rotom Heat can easily switch into that, so that's pretty cool. And then finally Victini, which Victini is her Z-move Pokemon. It could be like a Z Sunny Day set. I just gotta make sure I have speed control for that. It is weak to Stealth Rocks, and I can check it with Pokemon like my Mega Latios using Shadow Ball. Manaphy can take it on just fine as long as it's not like Z Bolt Strike, so I have ways of dealing with Victini. I just have to make sure that it doesn't get a ton of banded V-Create kills. That would be like a bad scenario. I do have switch-ins though, so I'm not too worried. And yeah, that's going to be her roster. Let's go ahead and talk about my 6 Pokemon. Alright, starting off my team right here, we have Pride the Cobalion, which is running a pretty basic set this week. It's just a fast attacker with rocks and then Volt Switch for momentum. We do have the Chople Berry on there, as I did say. That is a cool lure for the Ditto. If it comes in and tries to revenge me with my own close combat, I take that close combated back when it has the defense drop and OHKO the Ditto. It's also there for the Mega Lopunny, of course. If it goes for high jump kick, I take like 60% still, but then it just gets blown away by close combat as well. We have enough speed for the Pixies, being Shaymin and Victini. Even though they do take my hits quite well, you never know when they'll be in range, and I need this to revenge kill those. I don't want to play Cobalion too recklessly though, just because it is one of my better ways of checking the Sylveon. And I did mention Calm Mind, Heal Bell, Sylveon is one of the bigger threats against me right here, so if I do lose Cobalion, it's going to be a very tough matchup against that Pokemon, so just gotta make sure I play Cobalion smart this week, get up rocks whenever I can, and make sure I'm not taking too much damage. I can Volt Switch out on Pokemon like Amanda Buzz, get in my better breakers such as Latios or Rotom on that, and ideally we'll be good to go right here. Let's go ahead and talk about my Mega Latios. Alright, next up right here we have Gateway the Mega Latios, which is running a Roost 3 attack set. This is my primary response to the Pixie Pokemon as well as Blastoise and the Electros. I have enough speed for the Pixies if they are not Choice Scarf. If they are Choice Scarf, the best thing that could hit me would be Dazzling Gleam or Shadow Ball from the Victini. My HP plus Spadef right here allows me to take any 2 of those hits, even after Stealth Rocks damage, which is great. I can switch in, sponge those attacks, and then roost the damage off, which is definitely very nice right here. I do have speed investment for those, so if they're not Choice Scarf, I can go ahead and outrun them. My HP plus defense also allows me to go ahead and take a Fake Out plus a return from the Mega Lopunny, even after Stealth Rocks. So in the rare scenario where I want this to take the hits if Granbull is worn down, this can definitely go ahead and do that right here. But I also did mention Blastoise and Electros. This can switch into Blastoise and not really care about anything. Toxic would be annoying. Mirror Coat is the one thing that I did mention that could potentially throw me off. Even though Psyshock does hit on the physical side, Mirror Coat can still go ahead and reflect the damage back, so I have to keep that in mind. U-turn on the Eel and Victini are something that I can't ignore either. They can easily get the momentum into better breakers such as Choice Scarf Kyurem or Mega Lopunny, so that's definitely something I do have to keep in mind right here, but I will be throwing this out on Pokemon such as the Blastoise, the Eel, and the Pixie Pokemon, and ideally it can go ahead and work out for us. Let's go ahead and talk about my Rotom Heat. Alright, and rounding out the first half of the team right here, we have Roy the Rotom Heat, which is running a very Spadef set. It's a good response to a number of different Pokemon right here, namely the Shaymin, the Sylveon, the Mandibuzz, the Electros, and the Forretress. It can pretty much switch into all 5 of those Pokemon. We have Defog on this because I did mention that Spike Stack is a very big threat against my team. I have enough HP plus Spadef to take 2 modest Specs Hyper Voices from Sylveon, even after Stealth Rocks. This is setup fodder for Calm Mind Heal Bell though, so if I do see Calm Mind plus Heal Bell, I can go ahead and get the Volt Switch out into something like my Crobat or my Cobalion on a turn, where I know she will go for the Wish or Heal Bell, which is definitely very great for me right here. And then obviously we just have Overheat for a general stab right here. It can break a Kyurem Substitute. Now Substitute Roost would definitely be a scary thing, because it can go ahead and sub. My only attack to break it is overheat, and then at -2 I don't break it again, so that's just something I do have to watch out for right here. But thankfully, it doesn't have the Cure and Black ability, Terravolt, so it can't hit me with Earth Power or anything like that. Ancient Power would be the best thing it has to actually hit Rotom, and I don't know if she's going to run that or not, so that's going to be the Rotom Heat this week. Let's go ahead and talk about my primary win condition and Revenge Killer, my Crobat. Okay, starting off the second half of the team right here, we have a Labyrinthic Crobat, which is running an Adamant Choice Scarf set. She did have a big speed tier gap in between Mega Lopunny at base 135 and the Pixie Pokemon all the way down at base 100, so I could run Adamant right here, and with the speed creep and the Choice Scarf, I do outspeed the Mega Lopunny anyway. The other ability, Inner Focus, could have been useful for the fake out on Mega Lopunny, but I think she knows about that. She's not going to fake out my bat because I could just go ahead and attack anyway. And I figured Infiltrator could be good to just go ahead and, blow back Kyurem through its substitute, which is going to be very useful right here. We have Heat Wave. Despite the fact that we are minus special attack, if we can break the Sturdy on the Fortress, Heat Wave will be able to go ahead and blow that away anyway. And her one flying resist this week is the Electros if it does come. And I have great ways of wearing that down between Mega Latios, which easily pivots in, Rotom Heat, which can also easily pivot in and get a Toxic off, and I have a feeling she may even use the Eel to respond to Manaphy, so even if Manaphy does take some big Electric type hits, if we do get multiple hits into the Eel, that'll really help out the Adamant Bat, just spamming Brave Bird this week, which is the primary win condition, so ideally that can go ahead and work out for us. U-turn momentum into our rockers, such as Cobalion, as well as, Gateway to break, could be very good right here, Gateway being my Mega Latios, so that's very nice, and ideally this can go ahead and clean up late game. Let's go ahead and talk about my Granbull. Alright, my second to last Pokemon right here is Granbully, the Granbull, which is running a Rocky Helmet set. This is pretty much my dedicated response to the Mega Lopunny. I can take that on just fine. However, it does also take on Mandibuzz, which I did mention. I do need to wear down for some of my better breakers, being Cobalion and my Adamant Scarf Crobat right here, so even if Granbully ends up taking a Toxicking the Mandibuzz would be huge right here, especially because she only has one Cleric, being the Sylveon, so ideally we can go ahead and deal with that and keep that Toxic on the Mandibuzz right here. We do have Earthquake as well, because I don't want Victini to be like just a free switch into this thing. I guess Toxic would be annoying on Victini, but I just want to dent it with the Earthquake and make sure it is in range of my Adamant Choice Scarf Crobat, because if that thing is Z Sunny Day, I do have that speed control, but I have to make sure that Brave Bird can reliably Revenge Kill it right here. And then we have Fire Punch just to go ahead and hit the Fortress. Flamethrower technically could have done more, but I figured that Fire Punch would just be better because it does a similar amount and it can also hit switch-ins such as the Shaymin a little bit harder than, the Flamethrower would, so that's definitely very great right here. But the primary thing is switch this into Mega Lopunny, wear that down with the Rocky Helmet, and we will be good to go with my win condition week. Let's go ahead and talk about my last Pokemon, which is my dedicated response to the Kyurem. Okay, I'm running on my team against SareneGrace. We have my Kyurem switch-in, which has a lot of spit off on here, obviously, to Sponge Choice Specs Draco Meteors. Even if she crits a Draco into another Draco, I can take that attack on just fine, which is really great right here. And I do have Dazzling Gleam to guaranteed break any sort of substitute on that thing, so that's very great as well right here. We do have Surf just to be able to pressure Victini, because this could also be a response to like special Victini if I really do want to use it as that. I do have to scout for that though. I'm not going to throw it in on like Bull Strike or even a Banded V-Crate. That would be very careless because I would get worn down for the Kyurem, and Kyurem would just be a big threat at that point. We do have Ice Beam on here too, just because I can technically sponge hits from Shaymin, and if that thing is in range of Ice Beam, I can go ahead and wear it down, which is great right here. But the primary thing with Ultimate is switch it into the Kyurem and make sure that it's not a big threat this week, and we will be good to go. Knockoff is great too. I just wanted to mention this because Ditto with Choice Scarf is the one way she might outspeed my Adamant Choice Scarf Crobat. However, if I knock off that Choice Scarf, my Adamant Choice Scarf Bat will always outspeed that Ditto, and it can't revenge me reliably. So that's great right here, and that is going to be the team. The match will be going live in 24 hours from when this video went live, so tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. I hope you all tune into that, and I will see you then. Later.